Welcome to Hello Chaos, the weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic minds and lives of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Today, I am excited to have back again one of our favorite guests. This is Doug Lineberry, coming at us from Offutt Kerman, and he's an IP attorney. He's been on our show before, giving us all the down and dirty around things about trademarking and legal protection of your brand and your business. But I'm excited to have this conversation today with Doug because we're going to talk everything around IP, trademark, but also legal issues that have really come into play around AI. Coming from, he's a lawyer. He's got to deal with all that from an illegal perspective, and I can't wait to hear, Doug. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. But also, we come at it from a media and creative and entertainment arts, and our industry is being attacked like crazy from the actors and our TV and film productions, but also in the marketing agency world. We are seeing AI and how it's being used, and we use it. And so I think this is going to be a great conversation. So Doug Lineberry, welcome to the show. Welcome back.
Thanks, Jennifer.
How are you doing?
Good. It looks like the hurricane is past. I actually have power back. I'm going to warn y'all, my 15-year-old daughter got her learners on Tuesday, so Greenville roads have become vastly more dangerous. I'm just going to let y'all straight out.
Well,
if you see,
at least she wasn't driving around when there were no lights anywhere.
Yeah, thank God, no, for that. But no, otherwise, doing pretty good. How are you, Jennifer?
I'm good. Yeah, we got power back before you did, but not that many days before you. But minimal damage. We had a couple of large trees fall down at the office, but no damage to anybody. Just more cleanup, and we were, skated free. So at home where we had huge trees all around us and neighbors' houses that major damage, but we were grateful and thankful for what little damage that we had. So, and we pray and give positive vibes to everybody in Western Carolina, Western North Carolina, Asheville area. Got a lot of friends in that area who are really suffering. So we're, all the prayers and the positive vibes that we can send their way. Definitely. So let's talk well, first of all, is there anything update that we need to share regarding trademarking and, anything around intellectual property that we need to do an update on? Anything new in the last year that, or is it kind of like just a good reminder?
No. As far as new revelations, I think AI has really made infringement so much easier. And what do I mean by infringement?
Yeah.
AI, y'all, when we have to think about it, it is clever in the sense of it'll do what you tell it to do, but it does not have moral compass. It doesn't understand right and wrong. It's very black, white, 0-1 is how it thinks. And so with respect to trademarks, we've seen a lot of things lately, trademarks, copyrights, especially, and potentially patents. You'll tell an AI, go do this. Like, for example, we now have a new statute in South Carolina that is specifically directed to our realtors. I'm looking off screen so I can actually give you the accurate number for it.
Yeah.
And this is kind of neat because most folks, I think, consider South Carolina kind of like, you guys are a little slow on getting us the law and everything else. But in this case, I think we've done sort of a rocket sled on this. And it came out this April 24, at South Carolina Code Section 4057-280. And again, for the folks who want to read it, 40-57-820. And what it says is something that a lot of people fail to understand about artificial intelligence is that if a realtor was to tell an AI, go make me a description of 123 Primrose Lane, and the AI goes out and does that, and it says, hey, here's a description of the house, here's a picture of the house, and turns it back to the realtor and says, here you go, and the realtor publishes it on their website, going to be some problems. Because this AI doesn't understand right and wrong. It went out and it found a picture of the house. Guess what? Some artist took a picture of that house. Real estate censorshippers are a very special breed and are very selective about how they give licenses. So, boom, copyright infringement number one. Two, it's going to go out and say Primrose had sold once before. It'll go out and find that write-up and be like, oh, look, here's a description of Primrose. And so it will then take that and supply it back to the realtor who asked it to go do this. Mm-hmm. Then, what if it lifts something from the web like a trademark logo of another company or someone's tagline or something like that, and the AI doesn't understand, hey, this is someone's property.
Right.
And so what could potentially happen, Jennifer, is we could have a realtor post up a advertisement for 123 Primrose Lane, and it's going to have multiple forms of intellectual property infringement. Mm. And lo and behold, let's say it told it to set it to music, the AI would have went out and maybe brought in an audio clip. So you could be looking at multiple instances of copyright, possibly trademark infringement, literally for saying describe a house.
And are you saying, because we see that, on the agency, the bright marketing side too, of not using AI as more of an assistant, and not putting human thought, human editing, to be able to go, okay, that we can't use that language, or are you seeing people going straight from, I'm going to grab whatever AI gave and just post it without any human interaction to it?
Jennifer, the common bottom denominators, yes, it has. And you guys have to. And that's what causes some of these problems, is that somebody will be in a hurry. We're all on this constant 24/7, my cell phone's attached to my hip. Let's all hurry, hurry, hurry. And guess what? AI, unfortunately, feels sort of a lazy need. It'll go out and you think it's doing your thinking for you. It's not. If you think about it, the best way to think of an AI is you'll see the presentation that we're going to provide for everybody to look to. There's a picture of Mr. Bean copying from somebody else's test. Yeah. That's how you think of it. Yeah. There's no moral ground here. There's no determination of a right and wrong. You tell AI to go do something and it'll do it. Mm-hmm. And we all know that if you're busy and say it's a Friday afternoon like it is today, you may be in a hurry to get something out, and you may make the cardinal mistake of going publish, post, whatever puts it out there without really thinking, hey, what happened? You might just see this beautiful advertisement for 123 Primrose and think, wow, that's what I wanted. And not it's someone else's picture, it's someone else's text. The soundtrack to it belongs to somebody else indeed. And oh, lo and behold, it copied something from the old real estate company who handled this IP for.
So, and I'd never even thought of it from even that industry. The really, are you seeing, like on the marketing side, from just general agency, we're seeing, I would say, startup agencies, digital agencies that are coming in and they're using AI for SEO, that they're really, they're using black hat tactics. They're not legit. So like the marketing industry is kind of getting, unfortunately, cluttered, and is making our industry a little bit more confusing for a business owner, a CEO, or marketing teams to really navigate, to go like who's legit and who's not. And a lot of those like lower price, like I'll promise you the world, lead gen, those are all AI bots, services, but I didn't know if that's, are you seeing any of that on the, like in your industry, legal, of AI kind of infused or replacement for legal services of like, hey, we're a legal, advisor on the cheap, and it's really just driven by, a couple of guys or girls just using AI, and maybe not knowing how to do it, but they're cheap legal services.
Do you see that, Jennifer? We've had some very horrible examples of it lately. There was a case, I believe it was in New York. The attorneys on one side used artificial intelligence to create a brief. My firm, Offutt Kerman, that's for do not use AI. That is our firm policy. These guys used it to create a brief, and what the AI did was, instead of being Mr. Bean, it sort of turned into Pennywise the Clown from It. It went out and started making up case law, because it said, hey, we want the brief to say this. the AI went out there and it couldn't find a case to say it. So it's like, well, I'll just make up a case. Here's Smith v. Jones, and it says what you want it to say.
And so that lawyer's like using that case, that made up case, and looking like an idiot.
Oh, it's worse than that. Because when you submit it to the judge, Jennifer, their clerks have to try to find this. And guess what? It's made up from whole cloth, but they have to look for Smith v. Jones. God knows how many of those there are.
Right.
And it's got some citations from a court, and they have to go, okay, what if the numbers are wrong? It really wastes a lot of judicial resources. And that's just for one case. This particular case was replete with them. And so that really is something we have seen. Another problem we've seen is folks will tell AI to generate legal documents. And y'all, let's explain, today on this gorgeous blue day on a Friday, falls in the air, we're in South Carolina. We're in the 4th Judicial Circuit. If you were to try to use a document from New York in the 2nd or California in the 9th, probably won't work here, especially like in an employment context or an area to where South Carolina really differs, where the 4th Circuit really differs from the 2nd and or the 9th. So if you send an AI out, Jennifer, guess what? It doesn't know what circuit you're in. It's just going to language. And if you said, hey, I want this language, it's not going to come back and be like, hey, let me warn you, time out, that this doesn't work in South Carolina. It's simply going to say, here's your document. Have a great Friday.
Right. Ugh. I didn't even think about that either. Yikes. So you work with small businesses, you work with large businesses. Are you, and we will post and share the presentation that you gave, kind of gives all this information. But is there, what do we need to be asking ourselves as company owners or, the people that are protecting our company? If I hire somebody, or I shouldn't be doing it myself. There is no DIY legal. Don't try to do that.
Don't.
But if you do, get somebody online that's like, hey, I can do the $99, it's cheap or whatever. What are the things that we should be looking for to go, don't, if it's too good to be true, if someone's a lawyer that charges you $5,000 for this, and you're like, you get somebody that can do it for $100, it's probably too good to be true.
Yeah. No, that instinct's a great instinct, Jennifer, to say, whoa, and again, Jennifer, you're sophisticated. We've done work before, and you know that there's a realm of price. And you're $99 for anything legal? No.
Right.
No. And unfortunately, there are a lot of folks out there who will provide it. And I think your point's well taken about the marketing industry that uses AI to generate. There's a ton of them that can use AI to generate legal docs. It'll generate a case. It'll come up with a contract. Heck, it might even try to fill out your SEC forms for you. And so what I would tell folks to be worried about is this, who can you yell at the end of the day? If you use this $99 company, can you yell at them? If they get you in trouble document-wise, do you have any recourse? You don't. They're probably out in Utah, and the people who set it up have moved on to their 15th company since then. If you've got an attorney that an attorney where they're at, and you know what you're with, you got a lot of recourse. If I do something wrong, I've got the South Carolina bar to keep me in check. I could lose my license for doing dumb stuff. And so, I kind of like to eat and pay my mortgage. So here we are. I don't want to lose my license. And that's why I encourage folks, have a relationship with an attorney, or if you need an attorney, ask friends who they know.
Right.
It's like, hey, I need an attorney for wills and estates. I'll go to, I've got plenty of people I can refer you to. But unless you ask that question, Jennifer, you're just flailing in the dark. And I know everybody thinks, hey, I can keyboard this. I'm going to go Google it, Bing it, whatever.
Right.
And now, problem is you want to have, for an attorney or an accountant or a marketer, you want them to be somebody you can occasionally smack in the head if something happens wrong.
Right.
And that's really a big hit, is that AI has become almost anonymous. Almost Oz behind the curtain, and you don't want that with your professional services.
Right. The other thing, I didn't know if you, and that's a great tip, and I can't stress that enough. And I never thought of it the way you phrase it. Of who are you going to yell at? Who are you going to yell at? Right? Who can you pick up the phone or ask 10 questions for clarification? And if you're not working with a law firm, or, legal counsel or a marketing agency that literally you can pick up the phone and have a human interaction with somebody, then they're probably not the company you want to do business with.
Absolutely not. And that anonymity, is not something you want. You want a known quantity.
That's right. So the other thing that we see that comes up a lot, on the bright side, we work with different clients, and things that we've had to have a conscientious effort and teach our team things. Like, we went through, over the last few years, I think we have tested well over 250 different AI tools, specifically around, copywriting, art direction, ad design, photography, videography, cinematography, all that stuff. And we found things that are, there's just pure junk out there. I mean, pure junk. Even stuff in like the media buying space and all that. I mean, we have tested so many of these freaking tools. I can't even tell you how many tools because, as a business owner, I'm like, well, gosh, if I can, bring a tool in and help us, lower our rates or help us work faster or more productive, of course we're going to look at it. But, our art directors and our graphics folks looked at a bunch of the tools, used them, tested them, and, copywriters and, our media folks. And what we found was you have to have a level of experience even when just like basic Chat GPT, right? You've got to have a level of experience of what to write in the prompt. And then, so that's human. That is like a lot of experience also to know how to ask AI to do certain things, very specific.
Yep.
But then also on the, what do you get in return, and how to edit that, how to weigh those things to go, that's junk. That is unacceptable. That's not on brand voice. That doesn't fit. Like, this is not the color, even though you put in the colors and all that. But we're looking at it through, most of us are 20, 30 years experience. So we can look at it and go, that's not hitting it. But we're seeing just a bunch of I'll just publish, we're seeing other smaller, less experienced agencies that are just throwing junk out there. And we can tell, we're like, well, that was AI, and so all of a sudden your brand looks like a messy, cluttered footprint, and it's all over the place. But the other thing that and from an agency perspective, we do use AI tools, but they're really to make our current teams. It didn't replace anybody. It just made our teams more productive. Because we're still doing human the input, and then we're also human pulling it out and then editing. It's just saving a little time in between of the operations. But those are experienced people that are doing that, and using that expertise. That is what we found. There is nothing that has replaced that human knowledge and experience from those, the both ends. The things that we've also, had to kind of be very mindful because we represent and we manage other people's brands, and we keep those protected because we understand, those copyrights and that, what can we say? How do we make sure that we're consistent with those, talking about the brand, those copyright? What we also have been very cautious of using AI to put anything in the AI sphere, that is protected to that company or that brand. Because once if I put in something that's like a patent knowledge, even if I'm trying to churn out maybe a white paper or something for a client, no. Because if I input those data points, now it is in that, it's in the net. It's now accessible to everybody. And so what we've kind of told our team is don't do that, because that violates our NDAs and our confidentiality agreements with our clients. And we've even had those conversations with the marketing teams that we work with on the client side of oh shit, those were oh shits for them to go, that's how AI works. It's like, just because you are using like even just a simple, like Grammarly, do not have Grammarly come in if you have that as a Chrome extension on your Microsoft, and they are reviewing like a patent document. They've scanned it. Grammarly sits on top of the OpenAI, and your data sources, all of your protected, what makes you unique, all that stuff just went into the ecosystem for any AI. And I don't know if that right there, that state, like, we seem to have those conversations, like we know that as our like collective creative and marketing teams. But I'm going to tell you, Doug, when I go out and we tell that to our marketing counterparts at the client side, that is new news to them.
Yep. And Jennifer, it's weird how that really dovetails with IP. You'll see, again, referring back to the slide, I've got one specifically in there because you're absolutely right. A lot of folks think AI is your best friend. I'm going to let it ride on all my platforms, sell my data. That's atrociously, especially from an IP standard, because guess what? Companies have these things called trade secrets. That could be a marketing plan. It could be an expansion plan. It could be a customer list, a pricing list. If you bring in AI to help you make it look pretty, guess what? Just like you said, you can put all that out in the net.
You've now put it out there on the open AI source. Yep.
And what if you're Coca-Cola and you do that with the secret recipe? Hey, I'm thinking of how to present the recipe that looks better. You bring in AI to the Coca-Cola recipe, and guess what? You have put one of the preferred secret formulas in the world out in the net because you brought in this thing that doesn't have a moral compass. It doesn't get right or wrong.
Well, it doesn't know. It doesn't know that's a secret.
I don't. Well, and even if you told it, what is secret to a machine? Nothing. Because the machine's like, no, that is data. That is data.
That's right.
And a really good point on that one, Jennifer, is that sort of hammer this home. If it is not a filed trademark and not a filed patent, it's a trade secret. All trade secrets have to be sacrosanct. Have to be. Now, if you've already filed it with the trademark office or filed it with the patent office and it's published, that's okay. You can have it come into it. But unfortunately, folks don't make that delineation. They just bring AI in. They bring up the document, they start typing, they don't realize that the AI is just a sponge. It's taking all this info in and it's sending it up to the cloud and to the server. And what you really thought you were working on your computer at home or work in a sort of a confined private space is unfortunately up for the stage now. It's to be seen, it's to be exploited.
Well, and a lot of people don't realize, like Grammarly, they think that's that's just an automatic, spell check, and it's like that base is OpenAI.
Yep.
And even when you talk about, we're seeing when we saw this with the media industry, the creative arts industry, like that, what SAG-AFTRA, the actors and writers were fighting during the strike was, and they're still fighting it. It's the cloning of their image. Well, it's interesting. We were looking at how do we clone like ourselves for like our own videos, and then Chandler, our producer, was like, "Oh, but once they like." It's now out there. Then people have my voice. People have my, the image. And some people are okay with that, but it's almost, it's the same thing of the 23andMe conversations that are going on of like, okay, now this company is up for sale and you have now wavered your DNA away. And I mean, that's not AI, but it's still kind of that similar of,
it is.
I'm allowing an AI technology to. I mean, that's what actors are fighting to go. I don't want to have my voice, my likeness being used, and me not getting compensated for it.
That's right. We know, and that's a really good point because right now with all the Puff Daddy, P Diddy issues that are out there, there's a song that's been put out that everybody's like, no, it's a deep fake. Justin Bieber didn't sing the song. But guess what? The AI went and cobbled it together, and it sounds like Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
He told it what to say for the lyrics, and there it is. And so that may not be cloning, but it's definitely another use of AI that nobody thought about until some, person trying to be funny probably or trying to be harmful picked said, hey, make me a song in using Justin Bieber's voice, and here we go. And so it's that simple. And
Scarlett Johansson's been fighting that. They had OpenAI had approached her to be the spokesperson, and then she was like, I declined that. She declined the contract. She was like, you know what? I'm morally against OpenAI. And then their launch campaign, basically they cloned her voice, and she became it sounded just like her to be the narrator to their video of their launch. So now she's suing them to go, this is exactly why I didn't want to.
Right. And here and that's a really good point too, Jennifer, especially if your client says, look, even though AI can do it, it doesn't mean it should. You're right. Privacy are still out there. What about slander? What about libel? There's things that are never going to leave. And you have to understand that if you tell AI to do something and it doesn't, that's why that realtor statute is so important. Yeah. The court at the end of the day said, look, you may want to blame AI for this, but you set this in motion, Mr. Realtor and Miss Realtor.
Yeah. You paid for that AI tool.
That's right. You caused this. You're responsible for the results.
Wow. We've tried to be really cautious and mindful of how we use AI. The other thing, I don't know if this is kind of gets me into what's going to happen, if I look out in the sphere, because you hear these predictions of AI is going to destroy basically the internet because it's going to get so overly cluttered with just nobody's going to know what's truth,
what's fake,
what's real, what's fake. It's going to overwhelm, and it's they call it like crashing the net.
Sure.
Do you are you worried about that, or do you think we're starting to see the real implications of there's some legal implications, there's personal, moral, ethical implications. Do you think we're going to see kind of a ceiling before it kind of just melts?
That's a great question. What I did was I went to 2 different AI, Jennifer, and said, one of you make me, the 2 I went to were actually, I went to Chat GPT and draw me a picture of Papa Smurf riding a T-Rex. And Chat GPT, and that's in the presentation slide. You guys can look at it. And I said, I'm a Smurf guy growing up. I like Smurfs. And so I'm like, draw me a picture of Papa Smurf riding a T-Rex. And I wish this image would come up because it's really nightmare fuel. The amalgam it makes. Let me try to see if I can get just that slide to come up. If it does, it'll be awesome. So ChatGPT basically said, I can't really do that. Not my thing. And so really what happened is I went to another AI, it was deepai.org. And I said, hey, draw me Papa Smurf with a T-Rex, riding a T-Rex. And unfortunately, the screen is being a booger, but I can at least show it to you, I hope, the slide. So do y'all see this nightmare right here, Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so, you guys, this is Deep AI. It said, Chat GPT, everything going, hey, I can't do this. Maybe programs to do it. Its last sentence was, though, maybe you should be worried about copyright. Deep AI said, nope, you told me to do something, and here you go. So you have something that looks like a 2-tailed back fin.
Is it really 2-tailed? It looks like something else.
Don't you say it. This is one of those family podcasts. Don't you say it. But that's also open to interpretation. And at least it's got 3 legs and 2 arms. And y'all, this is AI. This is the worry. Because now, unfortunately, we have a situation to where these AI are now starting to learn from each other. And you see garbage like Papa Smurf riding a T-Rex, that another AI thinks this is valid. This is a Papa Smurf and a T-Rex. This is good because the common sense factor is not there. And you've got a great point. What happens to the net when it is so full of this gobbledygook? Because they're having problems now trying to train AI on each other because they have the tendency to make nightmare fuel. And other AI see the nightmare fuel and are like, well, that must be real. It's out here on the web. You told me to look for this, so here it is.
Right.
And another great thing that happens too, and I love this concept, Jennifer, we can make AIs hallucinate. And you're like, well, what do? You feed them drugs? Absolutely. That's the response.
Like what?
So here's what's going to happen. Me and you, Jennifer, and Chandler, and say 1,000 of our friends.
Right.
We're and we're going to start typing things about polar bears are vegan. Polar bears eat mushrooms. And we're just going to keep hitting articles on that. Polar bear at the Arctic eating a mushroom. Polar bear in the Arctic browsing through the Arctic mushroom fields looking for mushrooms. And the more of that we put out, these AI, again, no common sense. They're just looking for data.
Right.
And if someone says, explain a polar bear to me, and if we have put out enough of this bad information, the AI will literally start returning information that says, hey, polar bears are known vegans. They eat mushrooms. Because the fresh data is the fresh data. Hey, that must mean something. This is recent. And so the machines don't have that ability, A, for common sense, or satire, humor, any of the other things that we would get. And
they're just curating data. I mean, we're seeing that in I call it in fandoms. I'm gonna reveal something about me. I don't know if you knew, but Chandler's heard me talk about it a little bit. But so I'm a fan fiction writer. It's a hobby. I'm not going to tell which fandoms I participate in, but
you can't dangle that hook and not bait it. Come on.
No, because it's like soft porn is what I write. It's not like, it's just, it's whatever. It's creative, and it's just, it gives me an outlet.
Sure.
But so I'm on AO3 and I'm on Tumblr. Across multiple fandoms but you see, the conversations around AI of like, in those communities, we kind of laugh at it because it's like, you're going to have AI write your fanfic. Like what's the point? So, we're not seeing it there, but what we do see in these, like, I call it fandom wars. In DC, you've got people that, ship this or believe in this, and it's these Star Trek has big, Star Wars has big fandom wars, but where we're seeing AI that's frustrating is in where fandom meets media publishing, and we saw that in the 2016 elections. We saw it in 2020. We're seeing it now where people can't distinguish between what's a legit article, what's legit like media. I mean, you and I have been seeing stuff from Western North Carolina that are AI photos, like completely AI created imagery, and then that gets shared and posted on, I would say, more mainstream, social platforms, and people can't tell the difference. But what we see in like I said, in the fandom wars, which just gets just an example of this is what's happening in mainstream, what you see on Facebook, what you see on Instagram, LinkedIn, that in fandom wars, you'll get bloggers that will then create articles on their own because they're writers, right? Yep. They're freelance. They're passionate about certain things. They will create their own little newsletters that have no visitors, but because it's just their WordPress or something that's like I said, that's out on a live journal somewhere, and it's their opinions. They might cite a recent, like something that happened at a Comic-Con, or something that happened from one of the actors, or celebrities, interviews. So they'll use a little bit, twist it and twist, and then they'll send those. And so then you've got these AI curated media outlets like BuzzFeed, that are legit media, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, they start curating some of these articles, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, these like rumors and false information, and that's just in fandom. And then you see stuff getting spilled over. It's like the same type of stuff is happening within our news group of people have fake headers who, instead of it being wallstreetjournal.com, it'll be WSJ-US or .sc. And people just see, oh, well, they took the same header. And all of a sudden they're like, I quoted a Wall Street Journal article. And it's like, click further, because it wasn't Wall Street Journal. That was a fake reporter. That's a fake headline. that you're like it's happening like at a massive like media scale.
Jennifer, I think you've summed it up so well. Like, you've seen the memes lately that where they're saying the Onion is running out of content because it's hard to believe what's going on right now.
Right.
And that's really sort of the hammer of it, is that we now have this tool that's being misused. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And if someone has an opinion or a viewpoint, they can create their own foundational logic for it. You've seen that happen on Wikipedia before. People will go in and alter it to their viewpoint. They'll go in and add these things to it. But you're right, now you've got like what looks like on a surface glance authenticity, valid, relevant sources. And so I think that is today's main takeaway, is we want folks to dig below the surface. You can't take things at a face value anymore. You're going to have to do a little research, which, in this day and age when everybody's hyper focused on everything, you're going to have to take a breath. You're going to have to step back and be like, wait, it says that, but is that really
like it's almost, I'm hoping, because, you get worried about, you and I've got kids that, we're trying to raise to be, it's not just about what you're taught. It's really more important about how you think.
Yep.
And teach you how to think and do like critical thinking.
I agree.
Because you'll succeed in life if you know how to do that, right? And I feel like for some point, we kind of got away from that, and people are just going, it's a click of the button. I can share it, or I can be, a social justice warrior and sitting behind a keyboard yelling at people, the Karens. It's like just being, the mean people, online bullying, but now I feel like maybe AI, because it's getting to the point of it's the curation of information and then being served up in what we would consider more legit areas of our lives are not real. And so we've got to go back to that. Okay, now we've got to remember how to think. I got to take a little bit, extra time, or if they're evaluating law firms, or if they're evaluating marketing firms, or if I'm like, what news outlets that I want to pay attention to, and look at like who is actually writing it. Like I now click on the reporter to go, was that a fake blog, like an empty profile? Because then I know that was literally a bot that wrote that, and that person doesn't even exist. And I mean, that's how far I've had to go, because I see it so much.
I think that's a great lesson you're teaching everybody is, hey, if you see something that causes that question mark go up, kind of like you said about $99 legal documents, we do need that ability. We need people to be taught, hey, critical thinking, it's kind of a necessary survival skill, but especially now that it's so hard to tell the authenticity of information.
Yeah.
We need the ability to stop for a second, because again, everybody's fire and forget.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. Click on our author's name. See if you can find this supported somewhere else. I mean, I did the same thing. I saw something on a meme, and I'm like, that's weird. I've never heard that. And so what did I do? I jumped out of the meme app. I went over to the internet, and I did some searches, and lo and behold, it's accurate. But again, it only takes a couple seconds to verify that. Right. But if you publish that stuff and it's wrong, guess what? Your credibility's shot.
That's right. Well, and we look at, I think being authentic and authenticity is one of the best words. Because we talk about that, in branding, and the more authentic you are, the better you're going to connect. Yep. We see that, when you're, if you're, I'm a pop media junkie. So like I follow a bunch of, writers and, producers, directors of like what's to come in media, film and TV. Yep. And you can tell movies that were created by committee, right? Mm-hmm. Now imagine, God, you want AI to now write your next TV show,
produce, direct, film,
but even like our human, like we're human, and we can even go, we don't like that movie because it was like mass thought. There wasn't, It was just more of like, how do I get fast cash?
Yep.
It wasn't authentic to that brand, that franchise,
That's right.
the source material. And I think that can be applied to any brand. Like, don't you want to be authentic to, if it's your personal brand, if it's your company brand, you know, you want it to be the more authentic because people will connect with it. Our human brains can seek that out.
Absolutely.
And it goes to like, just like if you see something $99 off, or like, that doesn't feel right.
That's right.
And so don't get played in that game. Or we just had a conversation with one of our, with our team this morning, talking about like how, losing business to, these like gamey bad actor kind of agencies, because they're telling businesses what they want to hear. Like, sure, you want 10,000 converted users in, 30 days, 1 month, you'll get 10,000, and all you have to spend is $3,000. And it's like, there is no benchmark. There is no any form that would ever get you that. And you've got these business owners and marketing people that are like, oh, that sounds great. What's to lose for $3,000? It's like, ugh. Well, one, the effort that they would have to take to get there, that means they're using every fake, like, junk tactic on your brand. And it's probably not going to work. Like, it's waste of time and money, but because they're probably going to use some AI.
Yep.
And now that junk is out there. Like, you've allowed access to people promoting your brand on a level that is the least authentic, and can hurt your credibility.
And that, that's a really good point you put that out, Jennifer, because that'll kill your goodwill on the business instantly. Consumers lose faith, and there you are. Like, I noticed something really weird when the hurricane hit. And I won't mention brands because I don't want to get in trouble with anybody. I don't want you to get in trouble. But we went into Publix a Friday afternoon, and Publix had generators, and we walked into, and I thought this was amazing. I was telling somebody I had lunch with today, same thing. It's like, if I were a company and I walk into a Publix that's, pre-apocalyptic, everybody's really worried about what's coming for the next week, and it's essentially started to be cleared out. And if I see my product on the shelf untouched, and I did see this in like two areas. I saw a brand of potato chips, and I saw a salt drink. They were there, and all of the brands beside them were gone. I'm like, look, those companies need to know something, that, you're not connecting with Greenville, South Carolina in an emergency when people are literally taking what
they are desperate.
When they could take it, they stopped and made a conscious effort not to take you. And I think that really speaks a lot about this authenticity, because when your brand hits that level to where, look, you're not picked in the apocalypse, it's probably due to your messaging and having just a lack of a coherent goodwill.
That's right. Yeah, that is such a great message. Oh my gosh, we need to get that out of, like, people need to assess that. Because people can come in and make all the excuses, right? Of well, people weren't buying anything during this, or we just people don't. We sell out in other areas. It's the public shopper, and it's like, I guarantee if they're not buying it at Publix, they're not buying it at other places. But to look at, like, what is your, movement off shelf, not just sell in, because that's also a problem we see, Doug, is like a lot of companies focus in just, I've sold into that retailer. They've got nothing to promote how to get it off the shelf.
Yep.
So there's, we call it, there's some kind of rub in the business, because at the end of the day, you're not going to get your brand sold, because at Publix at some point is going to go, you know what, this doesn't move. I'd rather I've had to buy this inventory, so this guy got his check, but my I don't get the money until it's off the shelf.
That's right. And you've really got to think, okay, where did my message fail? Do I have a bad product? Possibility. Was it the ability of my message? Was there something wrong with my brand? And I'm with you on that, because those come to light in these situations. And unfortunately for a business, when that comes to light, if you're a small business, the light at the end of the tunnel is a train because your marketing has not been used correctly. Your message has not been promoted correctly or coherently.
That's right. Or not use the right tactics. You're not solving the business problem. Ooh, that's good. That's a good one. So what advice, so, from a legal perspective, the other thing, like I said, we've been real cautious of the whole just trade secrets. Don't put anything out on the open AI.
Yeah, don't have access to it.
The dangers of that.
Absolutely. And I think you almost need to have, you've seen the Mission Impossible movie where they have to break into the sealed computer, not connected to anything, being a little funny, but not really. I think for especially employers who know that AI is used in some of the facets, you probably do need to have stations to where that's where this information is limited to. It doesn't have an AI feed. You don't have the ability to do that because you never realize when somebody is going to take down the Coca-Cola secret formula, like, hey, I'd like to put this in the PowerPoint, super secret PowerPoint. Let's make it look pretty. And then you bring in an AI, the next thing you know, Coke secret formula is out there on the internet.
It would be somebody would not even know that was bad.
That's right.
Because we've talked to some, cybersecurity founders and stuff, and that's where they've kind of given us the heads up of, look, that, cybersecurity, you've got teams that they call red team and blue team, and blue teams are there to figure out kind of the how to use what tech the company uses to run and operate and manage and connect and integrate. But the red team is there to go, how do we make sure that no information is going in or out that shouldn't be going in or out? Kind of like it's the security walls. And they've and that's what I said, talking with them a few years ago, that's the one that they were the ones that kind of clued us in to go, even the AI things of like Grammarly, people don't even think of that as an AI tool, or some of these other basic ones like social media.
Language checker. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful point, Jennifer, is nobody realizes how invasive AI currently is. Is your phone loaded with it? Absolutely it is. A funny thing too, you've just seen the marked difference of the iPhone sold or iPhones or Android. I can't remember which program or platform, but you've had iPhones or Androids, can't remember which, sold in Europe, sold in the US. Guess what? The European Union, due to fear of invasion of privacy, due to the overuse of AI, said you can sell the phone, but you can't have these programs on. Meanwhile, the US, there they are. You've got to wonder about, hey, are you forgetting that this thing's loaded with AI? Are you forgetting that the web has so much AI on it now? And I do think, unfortunately,
Google's now being like, now you search a term, it used to be the local results came up first. Now it's the AI results that come up first.
That's right. And you're sponsored. And so, that really does lead to, information integrity, information authenticity. Those are big issues. And like you said earlier, is it going to collapse the internet? I think really what's going to collapse before that is faith. Because, hey, do I trust this? How much work do I have to do to validate this particular point?
Right. And if you're, if you own a company or run a company, what protections and trainings have you, what rules have you put in place for your own company to make sure that AI isn't putting your company at risk?
Sure.
And, I remember back, 15 plus years when social media was just coming out back in the early 2000s, and, we had to put out social media rules. What are we how are we going to use it? How do we need to teach our employees to use it? What's good, what's bad. And like I said, we've only talked to these big cybersecurity firms that are working with large corporations, but I'm what about the hundreds of thousands of the small businesses, which, by the way, small business, that's 500 or less employees. So that's 100,000 plus companies in the U.S. who probably have not even thought about the cybersecurity rules or the AI rules of what is allowed. How do you do a vetting process of which AI tools you want to use? what can and cannot be used in AI just as a, company. And then those are like, we're trying to train our clients and when we go to prospects of like, we bring that forward as like our differentiator of we don't use AI in that, like this is how we use these tools. We are not an AI agency. Not an AI run agency. We are very mindful of our NDAs. We are very mindful of our confidentiality agreements. And like I said, when we bring that up, they're like, what? I didn't even think about any of that.
Well, and Jennifer, your point is so well taken because, I just did a quick Google because, we're using the mysteries of the tool today. Right. The SBA says that 99.9% of American businesses are small businesses.
Yeah.
Think of that. 99.9 need this training, need this knowledge, but they're probably busy because on Friday, you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to get work done. That's right. They're trying to get product out. They're trying to make certain payrolls.
That's right.
You're absolutely right. We have this potential for 99.9% of the businesses to fall prey to this because guess what? It might not be very high on the to-do list, right?
Well, they're not even aware that this is, they're aware of AI, but I don't think they're aware of how AI could affect their business.
Yep.
I mean, like hurt their business.
Yep.
Because the only narrative that's out there, I would say in the broader sense, so like I said, creative and media arts, it got all brought up to the forefront during the SAG-AFTRA strike, that a lot of this stuff was coming out. But for the general business, people were just like, oh, AI, it can make my business. Oh, I can help operations. Oh, my marketing team can use this. This is great. It'll, the magic bullet, all that. And I don't think anyone's kind of have really understood really what AI, like, it's not just this one. If you put this stuff in this one tool, it's sitting on a bed of the AI found, like the universe. It is not protected in that one tool.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. All right. So any other tips and tricks that we need to be thinking about or cautionary tales around AI?
Sure. Watch it. If you ask it to do something, you absolutely, positively must do that. Eyes on, touch, look at what it generated. Full stop. You do not trust it to be what you asked it to do. You confirm that it's what you need and what you're comfortable putting out.
Yeah. And that it's not gonna hurt you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That right there's the bottom line. Is it going to help business? And if not, don't use it. Yep. Right. Look, lesson learned.
And then also just the reminder of you need to be careful of like that image that it got pulled. Do you have the rights for that image?
Sure.
How are you using that? Or how it, because there's a lot of like ad versioning tools that are, well, I just want this image. And it's like, who owns that image?
That's right. We've talked about that before, Jennifer, and there's always a feeling of, if I can find it on the internet, it's okay to use. It's absolutely not.
No,
you want to hit that home, but I have sophisticated clients call and say, we did this. And I'm like, oh, and you're just like, oh, that makes my stomach hurt a little bit.
Right.
Oh. And so it's like, look, if you see it out there and we're talking text, we're talking pictures, we're talking audio files, do not lift it thinking it's okay.
Right.
And I hear people say, oh, well, there's no copyright notice. Doesn't matter. Copyright arises upon completion. Like right now, I can take a picture of you, Jennifer, using my phone. Boom, I've got a copyright in that photo, ignoring your right to privacy and permissions, etc. But as soon as I take it, guess what? That's the copyright in that photo. And the same thing with this stuff on the net. People must remember you can't just copy it or paste it. And AI, if you send it to do it, you're going to get in trouble for the same thing.
Yeah. Have you guys seen on the legal side, like where people are suing or where companies have actually having to go to court or you having to either do cease and desist or like any of that? Have you seen kind of an uptick in that?
For AI usage?
Yeah.
It is a thing. And you've noticed a lot more people will find like variations on it because a good thing you talked about was your brand cohesion. Hey, you've got a mark and it always looks like this and it's always this color and it should always be that way.
Right.
And the AIs don't get that. and you will see those particular issues used. There's all kinds of issues out there now about, who owns the copyright to this? What if AI creates it? Who's the owner of that? What about if it being a derivative work? So there are a lot of current issues that are out there floating around. We haven't had a lot of decisions yet. So it's hard to say, okay, we're breaking the lines this way. It's coming. But right now with us, it's really a matter of, again, 99.9 of us are small businesses. They may not know that, hey, AI caused this to happen. AI is doing this that way.
Yeah, I think there's not enough information out there. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation to elevate that. Because, like I said, I don't think people are doing it or using it nefariously. I think it's just the lack of knowledge.
It's a new toy, and look at what it can do.
That's right. That's right. Well, my goodness, Doug, this has been fantastic. I always amazed at how fast our conversations go. How do you want people to connect with you or learn more information? Again, we'll share the presentation that has more detail. But how do you want people to connect with you?
Sure thing. First of all, connect with Jennifer. She's here to help. You've got an authentic marketing agency that says, look, we use the hands-on approach. We're not AI. Connect with those folks. Reach me. Absolutely do it, because that's what you want with me. Direct dial is 864-256-4875. My email is doug.lineberry@offitkerman.com, OFFITKURMAN.com. Happy to always discuss.
Perfect. And we will put that information out when we publish this episode. For everyone hanging out with us and listening with us, appreciate your support. Again, the podcast episode will be available across all podcast platforms. So please subscribe to Hello Chaos. Give us a like, a share, give us a comment, great review. Help us grow and build a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by OrangeWIP. That is OrangeWIP, WIP for Work in Progress. OrangeWIP is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We are in 3 South Carolina markets today, looking to expand to other markets because every community needs an OrangeWIP. We are a one-stop content hub just for founders and an innovative digital zine. We've got local curated calendars. We've got local dynamic roadmaps to help you as a founder navigate all the resources available to you in your own market. That's why every market needs an OrangeWIP. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast or support us, send us an email to hello@orangewip.com. Again, that's OrangeWIP, WIP for Work in Progress.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It is where AHA meets oh shit, and we will see you again next week.